very much, Madam Chair. Minister, welcome. First question. Sorry, I have the beginnings of a cold and I'm having trouble catching my breath. Well, I hope your cold doesn't last long. You know, they tend to drag on. Now, the folks from the RCMP came before us last week, as well as CBSA officials and also from Global Affairs, and they confirmed that there's been no written correspondence sent to our US counterparts flagging this issue that Council Sanders from BC alluded to, and that is that certain Canadians will be denied entry for life to the United States. Is that true that there's been no written correspondence between the US and Canada on this issue?
Certainly have been lengthy conversations, Senator.
Je parle d'une correspondance écrite.
I'm talking about written correspondence. Have you, or anyone from the government for that matter, sent any written correspondence to the United States to signpost these problems that we're coming in?
The written record. I don't recall myself sending a letter to the Secretary of Homeland Security because it just comes up in every conversation, and we exchange views directly, person to person in the conversations. But I'll check to see if there's any correspondence at any level on it.
Je vais vous dire pourquoi c'est important, Monsieur le Ministre.
I'll tell you why it's important, Minister. In Canada, there's no industry where the entire staff would be denied entry to the United States except for organised crime. We're going to create an industry for marijuana production in Canada. There'll be tens of thousands of jobs that will be created in the production, distribution, sale, and those folks, in the course of their work, will go to the United States and they may risk being banned for life. So, do you have a plan to protect these well-meaning Canadians who wish to travel to the United States, especially those who already have investments or properties in the US? They would be unable to enter, and if they produce marijuana, well, then the Americans will say that they're breaking the law. And so the entire industry across the board would be penalised because of a lack of agreement between the US and Canada.
Senator, the Americans have the sovereign right to establish the rules of entry, just as we do the other way around. Canadians approaching the border and seeking to enter the United States need to ensure that they're in compliance with American border requirements, because the United States will establish those requirements, and if we wish to enter their country, then we need to ensure that we're complying with their immigrations and customs rules.
Il y a un problème majeur de main-d'œuvre au Canada.
Minister, there's a huge labour shortage problem across many regions of Canada. And the fact is that these folks are fully aware of the fact that they may be banned entry to the United States. Are we going to affect the recruiting efforts of some of these countries? As a Canadian deciding to take a job like that, knowing that I might be denied entry, I don't think I'd accept such a job.
Well, you, I think, have to make your own decisions about what enterprise you want to be involved with, and we will continue to explain to the Americans the legitimacy of the Canadian plan, just as we have for years had a completely legitimate regime with respect to medical marijuana in Canada, and that has not, to the best of my knowledge, presented a border crossing issue for the people who are involved in those enterprises right now. They need to ensure when they cross the border they're satisfying all American standards. But the medical marijuana regime in the country has existed for more than a decade, without a border crossing problem that I'm aware of.
We have a